still Comandante, playing case. Shadows of tender fury. Shadows of tender fury.
Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here's a strange and bitter
we are on our 4th episode, and today we're talking about Black Lives Matter. But for me, I'll share from where I come from, which is Malawi. So mostly there are a lot of issues that we face as Black people, and so does everyone around the world. But in my country, it's a bit different because I'll give an example. If there's a certain situation that needs someone to think, and then you're all gathered, once you see any person, like a white person, come in, we are immediately considered as useless on that particular time. Some people who are not smart, someone who cannot think, and they're not even capable of doing anything. So there have been very different scenarios that I have faced. I have been looked at as if someone who definitely doesn't have to talk. And as soon as they give you that look, your confidence is immediately wiped. You're like, you have nothing to say, and then you back off. Every time you feel like you're backing off out of stuff. And being in Canada, of course, I have felt and have seen a lot of things, like specifically from where I'm coming from, especially this time with COVID. They would look at me and immediately think I would bring in COVID because I do not belong here. And once you get that look, and you get it, it's mostly the look that really, like, you see it. Once you see it, you feel it. It's not even about someone saying you're Black. I think to me it's beyond that. It's the look. It's what they expect of you when something is happening. I was looked at as if, oh, COVID. Definitely she was traveling. She cannot be from here. So these things would make you think. Sometimes I get so uncomfortable in my own skin, depending on where I am, because of maybe 2 comments or 3 comments. They would just give you that look like, shut up, and then you zip it up. When it comes to race and what you can do, I like to believe that every person is just a person. We can recognize color. We're okay with someone recognizing your color. We're okay with someone saying stuff about, if someone says you're Black, I'm good with that. I'm really Black. But when it comes to real issues and you're looked at as if there's nothing you can bring to the table, now that's what really messes up everything. It wipes up your confidence. It wipes up everything that you have planned. There was a situation where I was walking, and it was a little bit at night. I was walking on the sidewalk, and there were other people walking, white people walking on the other side, and I was walking on the other side, and there was one person coming. Immediately that person switched lanes. Now, there might be a lot of things involved with that. I get it. But sometimes it's just a matter of looking at a situation and going, come on, we're all people. Being Black does not define anything at all. It's just skin color and everything else. Our beliefs and everything, we're human as every other person. I can talk about anything, and people should be able. And there are times when I meet people and they're just, okay, you're doing this wrong. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. But don't give me the look and go like, oh, okay, maybe. Once people do that, it's really disturbing. So all I can say is, let's not look at people and judge them because of their color. Everyone is a person. Everyone has the same mindset. Everyone can think as much as you think other people think. There was a situation where something was happening. I was stressed, and my friend was white and was stressed, and everyone looked at them and they were like, oh, you must be stressed. I am not expected to feel stressed or to put it out there, because I am expected to be someone who is strong and who is supposed to contain themselves, which is not right. I am also allowed to be myself. Scream it out there, this is what I'm going through. But I've seen several times where I try to express myself. It's so hard to express yourself when you're Black. So that is not supposed to be like that. As I said, we're all people, and we should be able to, I get angry, I get sad. I should be able to have that and also try to put it out there. Peace.
Warning. Hey everybody, my name is Kia Kadiri, here to do a little shout out to my man, to Comandante, episode 4. So yeah, I have been a hip hop artist for almost 25 years. When I first started out, I didn't like hip hop. I didn't really understand it until I really came to understand that hip hop is really the voice of people in the Black community and the struggles that they face. And so that's why it's so important as a hip hop artist to really understand why hip hop and spoken word and the culture of hip hop, all 4 elements, mean so much to the Black Lives Matter movement. Most of the work that I do right now is teaching other people how to rap, but I really was drawn to the passion of the history of hip hop in terms of music, from jazz and blues and spoken word poetry, and the ability to kind of people to tell their stories. So that's one of the reasons that I love to rap. I also just love that it brings people together from all around the world. People rap in all different languages, in all different countries. They practice hip hop, turntablism, breakdancing, graffiti art, and it's all just an expression of what we love. So many different ways that hip hop has helped me in my life with mental health. It's helped me as a career. It's helped me to be able to express myself. It's helped me to meet people from all around the world and get to collaborate and be creative. Working with different musicians on my record named Feel This almost 20 years ago was one of the biggest highlights, and I still get to enjoy creating music from people. The best part now is we can do it remotely too, right? So even though there's pandemic, even though there's COVID, we still have a chance using technology to be able to share with each other what's happening around the world in our communities and do it in creative form. So hip hop is always going to be a huge part of my life. I love sharing it and teaching it to other people. Most importantly, as far as Black Lives Matter, you know, I am half Black, half white. I was raised in Victoria, and, you know, I experienced a lot of systemic racism growing up, and sometimes you don't even really feel the effects of that until later on and you really understand it. And now I really understand the importance of making change and speaking about what's going on, and really taking the time to understand what white privilege means, what it means to be like in a different socioeconomic class. So, you know, if your family comes from money, or if it doesn't, or the different communities, and that doesn't just affect Black people or people of color, but unfortunately it affects us the most, and it affects us the most predominantly because there's been a history of wrongdoing in our cultures, with Indigenous cultures and with Black culture. So it's very important that we take the time to understand the history of really what happened from slavery all the way through the 1900s in the States. The main people that were parts of the civil rights movement, you know, I just finished doing a presentation on Nina Simone. There were some really powerful civil rights activists who were also used their platform as musicians to be able to spread their message to a greater audience and to really connect emotion to people and their messages. And Nina Simone is another really strong example of someone who experienced systemic racism and violence and domestic violence and suffered with her mental health, but always had music as a creative outlet. And she was an incredibly talented classical musician, jazz musician, and singer. But when the civil rights movement came around, she found that it was super important to share a message. And that is also what many artists of today are being called to do with their platform, right? There's an ability to make music, there's an ability to be creative, but more so there's an importance to spread a positive message and to bring people together and really understand that people are suffering and that we are there to help each other. We're there to love each other. We're there to support each other. And if we get to do that through music, that is the most relevant to do with these matters and these times. All right, take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you guys. Bye.
Hey everyone, my name is Ndidi Cascade. Ndidi is my Nigerian name. It means patience. My background is Nigerian, Italian, Irish, and I was born in Vancouver, British Columbia. I first got involved in hip hop just by listening. Like, I would listen to a lot of rap music, and I noticed that hip hop music gave me energy. In times where I'd be feeling down or low, I would listen to hip hop music and it would give me the energy I needed to get through the day. I had a lot of journals, I used to write poetry, and so that's how it kind of connected for me, the words and the beat. And my first exposure to actually writing raps was when I was in grade 6. So when I was in grade 6, I was in music class and the teacher surprised us with the assignment to write a rap. And I was like, what? I've never written a rap before. This is crazy. I would love to try this. And so I dove right in and turned out I had a talent. And this is the reason why I love to tour to different schools. And I love giving the future generations the opportunity to perhaps discover a talent they didn't realize they had. And so that is my connection to hip hop. So hip hop for me is a really healing tool. When I'm performing or when I'm engaging in music, I feel healing energy in my life. So hip hop is essentially therapy. And if you look at the roots of hip hop, where hip hop comes from that part of the world in New York City during the mid-1970s, youth of color felt like they didn't have a voice in their communities. In fact, they did not have a voice in their communities. And so they used hip hop as a tool to give themselves a voice, to empower themselves, to get through life. And that's essentially what they did. And hip hop continues to give young people voices and marginalized people voices. And that is how it connects to Black Lives Matter. See, with the Black Lives Matter movement, what we are doing, and we are letting the world know that Black Lives Matter and that anti-Black racism indeed does exist, and it needs to stop now. And so hip hop can be used as a tool to express yourself, express burning issues on paper or through audio. And so you can get that message out to the masses in a positive, healing, vibrational way. And so that is why I feel like hip hop is super important. And hip hop education, school programming is super important. And that is exactly why I love doing this work. As a hip hop artist and an educator facilitator, I love connecting with community, and music does heal, right? Words heal, messages heal. And so that's why hip hop is really important right now. If we remember the roots of hip hop, where hip hop comes from, when it comes to empowering young people, empowering marginalized communities. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why hip hop, it don't stop.
Black Lives Matter.
Brother's gone, but the Floyd name still lives on.
never thought in my life I'd ever see this many people assembling for us in Vancouver.
Indigenous lives matter.
While protests in the U.S. over police killings of black people have led to a reckoning over racism here, Indigenous peoples overseas have used this spotlight to show solidarity and to highlight similar issues in their own countries.
It was a moment that sparked a movement, shining a light worldwide on the treatment of Native and Indigenous peoples who, like Black Americans, are disproportionately jailed and killed by police. In Canada, Black Lives Matter marches filled the streets in the months after George Floyd's death, an outpouring of pent-up frustration by Canadians of color, born in part of a fraught and fractured history between law enforcement and Indigenous populations. And between April and June, Canadian police shot and killed 6 Indigenous people, including a woman killed during a quote-unquote wellness check. The public pressure has forced a response from federal authorities. For the first time in June, the head of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Commissioner Brenda Lucki, released a statement acknowledging systemic racism on the force, reversing earlier denials. Problems in Indigenous and First Nations communities, says author Waukesha Rice, go far beyond policing.
In recent months, the Black Lives Matter movement has really catalyzed a lot of that understanding and put the spotlight on systemic racism in all realms, in all sectors here in Canada. There are poverty issues in First Nations. Many have unclean drinking water. There are ongoing issues of addictions and poverty as a result of being displaced and colonized.
Among those marching for change, it's yet another example of justice denied. Over 3 decades, more than 400 Indigenous people have died in police custody, but no officer has ever been convicted. And so today, the march continues.
Hello, everybody. My name is Curtis Clear Sky. I come from the Niitsitapi and Anishinaabe First Nations Indigenous peoples of this continent that we call Turtle Island. I live here in beautiful territory of Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh people in the city of Vancouver. And thank you for having me today. I'm an artist, music artist. Some claim hip hop, some say funk. You know, sometimes I don't like to put myself into those boxes, and I just enjoy creating works, music, and collaborating with artists. I have an album with my amazing, talented friends, bandmates, called Curtis Clear Sky and the Constellations. We put the album out in 2019. We put this vinyl out recently this year in 2020. With some amazing, cool people on the cover here. This amazing title album cover was created by also some other amazing artists, Nomadic Alternatives, Dedos, and Soche. Amazing artists put this works together, along with some amazing music on this amazing album, on this amazing blue color. And artists put this work together, and it consists of music from indigenous hip-hop music with elements of funk, blues, reggae, ska, a bit of soul. Yeah, most of all, I enjoy sharing messages, positive affirmations, sharing lyrics that are empowering, that are reflecting on life in a healthy way. And creating music is a blessing to me. I'm thankful to be a part of and to be able to connect with people. It's truly a gift of an opportunity that I enjoy doing. For me, I started connecting with hip hop when I was around 12 years old. Directly connected with it. I learned about artists like Kool Moe Dee, Maestro Fresh West were definitely the two artists that I first heard, listened, sat down, listened to tape, and heard the lyrics and listened to the beats, listened to the entirety of the album, and I loved it. And right away, my spirit was connected to the expression, to the excitement that I felt from hearing hip hop. I've been growing with hip hop since I was about 16, because around 16, I started participating in a theater camp where I started to learn how to express myself. And from there, I also knew that I also liked hip hop. So I, started expressing myself with hip hop as well. And just over time, I started to learn how to express my perspective. And, as I grew as an individual and as an adult, I also learned how to, develop what I wanted to share. Healthy, growing community messages and connecting messages. Positive message. Actually, somebody who I listen to who's not actually in hip hop is Bob Marley, because he's always talking about positive messages. And it's a good thing because it's empowering. It's lifting the vibrations. It's also standing up for our rights, protecting, connecting. And those are all good things that I really enjoy. Social justice is a lifelong initiative. It is in my ancestry. It is in my blood. It is who I am. It is generations before me and is generations after me. And I'm here in this space and time and making my contribution to creating a healthy outcome for my children and their children and their children and their children and their children. My job, my time here is to do my best to make sure that there's positive outcomes further down the road. And we often say 7 generations. We impact 7 generations after us. And we've been impacted by 7 generations before us. So it's a cultural value as an Indigenous person to make positive contributions. And that's what Indigenous Lives Matter means to me. And I do that through music and culture and community development. I work in community as well. And it's a blessing. Lastly, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Raul. Thank you to Sarah McLaughlin School of Music for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit here with everybody. And look out for our album, Curtis Clear Sky and the Constellations, Indigifunk album, online and in local stores in Vancouver, High Life Records, Beat Street Records, Zulu Records, all those good places. And we're creating an album next year. We're going to release an album in 2021. And look out for our new works. So appreciation, gratitude, all my relations.